and welcome to the MVAC Lab. Today, we are celebrating a special anniversary and talking to a key MVAC contributor. Bill Gresens has been writing reviews of archaeological fiction as MVAC's book reviewer for 20 years as of this March. He has also served on the MVAC Board of Directors and has been volunteering for 40 years, starting with MVAC's predecessor, the Center for Research Archaeology. Welcome, Bill. Thank you for being here and for speaking with us today.
Well, thank you, Cindy. It's certainly my pleasure, and with that introduction, I kind of feel like maybe I should be carbon dated, but nonetheless, I am looking forward to this and hope you can stump me with your questions for which I have not prepared ahead.
Well, to start, can you give us a quick overview of how you started doing book reviews 20 years ago and what they entail?
Okay, well, yeah, actually, I think it may have begun, in a sense, back in about 1991 or 1992 when one of the predecessors to MVAC, the La Crosse Area Archaeology Society, which was a public group, met at the public library, I think maybe 4 times a year, with speakers on various archaeology subjects, had a last-minute cancellation, and I was asked if I could step in and do a talk on archaeology and fiction, something that I'd kind of been noodling around with for a while, and I did that, and about 10 years later, I think it was Bonnie Jancic either must have heard about the talk or remembered it, and asked if I would be interested in doing a book review for the MVAC website. I don't know if it was supposed or intended to be a monthly thing as it is now, or if it was just going to be an occasional sort of thing, doing it until I ran out of books. But at any rate, it's been running for 20 years.
How has fiction with an archaeological backdrop changed since you started writing your reviews?
To be honest, I really don't think it has. It's remained the sort of genre where some are good, some are bad, some are very, very bad. And I know when I first began reviewing these that I would, on a fairly regular basis, review some pretty awful stuff. And I think it was with the idea that if I could save a reader a few hours of his life and he could skip this book, that would be, kind of a public service. As I've gotten older and I realize that I've got more of my life in the rearview mirror than I do in the windshield ahead, I've decided that I'm not going to waste my time reading a lot of really awful stuff. So I think probably in the last couple of years, the books I've reviewed have been of a better quality.
Which authors or books have stood the test of time, and do you revisit certain titles or series?
Well, I think certainly when I think of the very best, there are 2 series that come to mind. One would be the Amelia Peabody series by Elizabeth Peters, which is the pen name for Barbara Michaels. Peters/Michaels, I believe, was a PhD in Egyptology from the University of Chicago. She really knew what she was writing about and also had a wicked sense of humor that was brought out in each and every Amelia Peabody book. The series took place always in Egypt and roughly between late 19th century and World War I. That's probably the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. The other series that I really enjoyed, I think it may have come to an end now, is the Gideon Oliver series by Aaron Elkins. Not only are they really great reads, but there's a kind of tie-in to Wisconsin in that the author was actually a PhD candidate in anthropology at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, and his fictional character, Gideon Oliver, is a UW graduate, so it's kind of cute in that way. A couple of other series that come to mind, I think, that have stood, for me at least, the test of time. One is a series written by a British author, Roy Lewis, and his Arnold Langdon series. Now, Arnold is kind of a self-taught archaeologist and is about as exciting as his name, Arnold Langdon. But the books are wonderfully complex mysteries, and Arnold is sort of the self-effacing everyman who, when the occasion asserts itself, rises to the occasion. He becomes downright heroic. A couple of other series, more contemporary, are the Ruth Galloway mysteries by Ellie Griffiths, which are set mainly in the northeastern part of England, and also the Fay Longchamp mysteries by Mariana Evans, which are set in the deep south, Louisiana, Florida, Mississippi, in that area. They also are very, very good. I think these more contemporary series tend to stress much more the characters, the psyches that are involved, as opposed to the mysteries and the romance and that sort of thing. They're more, in some ways, character studies almost, but very, very good. And there have also been many, many good standalone books, whether they're romances or mysteries or thrillers, that I've reviewed over the years also.
And what are some highlights from over the years? Anything particularly well done or surprising?
Well, I think in addition to, say, the Amelia Peabody's and the Gideon Oliver mysteries, which I think they're books that I've literally reread 2 and 3 times over the years. There are a couple of others that come to mind. Frances Pryor is a British author who's written, as far as I know, only 2 thriller/mysteries right now. I'm hoping there will be more. But he is, if any of you have ever watched the BBC, I think it was probably about 20-year series called Time Team. Pryor was one of the members of that Time Team. And that series really had this group of archaeologists going around to different parts of the United Kingdom, and they had 3 days to do a dig. And that was the premise, week after week after week for 20 years. So Frances Pryor, obviously, like the other authors that I mentioned, really knew what he was writing about. Another great book that I just sort of happened upon in the last year or so was a gem that was actually written in 1965. It was James Michener's The Source. I think Michener is kind of known for Tales of the South Pacific and lots of books like that. He wrote this pretty heavy tome in 1965, as I mentioned, and it tells the story of Israel, really from prehistoric times up through the founding of the establishment of the modern state of Israel. And it's told as an archaeologist and his crew are excavating a mound that has layer after layer after layer of civilization and pre-civilization. And just a wonderful book. It's kind of an old-fashioned thing. You don't really find that many books like that anymore, but was just a delight to find. And those are 2 that come to mind that really stood out in my mind over the last couple of years.
What are you looking forward to as you continue to read and write about fiction that involves archaeology?
Well, I think I look forward to pretty much the same kinds of things that I've been reading over the last 20 years. I want them to be good stories, whether they're mysteries or thrillers or character studies or romances, whatever it might be, that have a solid foundation in the discipline of archaeology. I don't think the author necessarily has to be an archaeologist or an anthropologist to deal with or to write a good book. As I mentioned, Aaron Elkins, Frances Pryor, Elizabeth Peters were archaeologists. and so brought their expertise to their writing. But there are also writers that I've read that have absolutely no academic background in archaeology, but obviously from the research that they've done ahead of time, they've steeped themselves in the processes of archaeology, why it's done, how it's done, and make the books believable. And that's really what I kind of look for in a good archaeology fiction book. I think one that comes to mind most immediately is a book by a non-archaeologist by the name of John Preston, who in, I believe it was 2007 or so, wrote a book entitled The Dig, which was a semi-fictionalized account of the Sutton Hoo dig in England of an Anglo-Saxon ship that was buried. And they say Preston has no academic background, but was able to describe the technical aspects of excavation to an incredible extent, and just a wonderfully rendered book. And as it turned out, within a week or two of my reading the book, excuse me, as I mentioned, was written in 2007, and early 2020, Netflix had a movie based on it that was just excellent. I think it starred Ralph Fiennes as the archaeologist, and it was a wonderful film that I would really recommend to anybody that's interested in archaeology. It's really good.
Well, thank you so much. Congratulations, and we certainly look forward to hearing about your explorations in archaeological fiction in the years to come.
Well, I'm hoping that it'll be at least another 20.
That would be great.
Being only 40 years old myself. But anyway, thank you very much, Cindy. It was a delight to be here. Sorry my voice kind of gave out here at the end, but hopefully this will be somewhat entertaining.
Well, once again, thanks.
Okay.
You can find Bill's past reviews and a link to make recommendations for future picks at uwlax.edu/mvac/book-reviews. Also make sure to check out and subscribe to MVAC's monthly e-news, which you can do from our website, for the latest reviews and information on MVAC happenings. Thanks for watching.